Welcome to Goldboys Live, presented by Pickett Sports. Sleeper picks, breaking down the card in MLB. Maybe we'll get into a few other things. A packed house. Brian, Brad, Josh, and Burroaks. Boys, what's going on? I guess we got a game starting in a couple minutes. Any minute now between the Reds and the Nats. Bunch of day baseball. So, Josh, you got some plays, I guess, in Reds Nats. Take it away.
Yeah, let's get right into it because I was just like, look, it's like, 95 degrees probably at like 1 o'clock in DC, maybe 92, nice, humid, sweltering heat. Ball should be flying. So I just took a bunch of first five bets, fading both these pitchers definitely as well. Brandon Williamson and Mackenzie Gore both have brutal, bloated xERAs and really just ERAs in general. And the Nats are hitting left-handed pitching better and pretty well this season. They don't strike out against them. The Reds have been hitting lefties much better actually since Ellie came up, and Matt McLean's been doing his thing as well. So I'm picking first five for both of them. You get even money for over 2.5 for the Reds. I'm sorry, it's up to plus 110 on DK right before the game started. So you're gonna have to bet it live at this point. But the over 2.5 for them first five probably even gets some better odds as this game goes on. I'm not sure what's already going on in the first inning, but I'm pretty sure it just started. And then the Nats over 2.5, that's minus 120 on DraftKings as well. I don't think there was much better prices elsewhere for those. So I already hit those right before the game started, and would continue to feel good about runs coming in that game. It was at 10 over 10 to start the game too. And that was even money on DraftKings. You get it pretty crappy odds for over 9 or at the start as well. So that's where I would lean first.
A quick 1, 2, 3 first for the Reds.
Yeah, so you'll get better odds now.
Get better odds now, baby.
I was actually gonna say because I was in a similar play with Josh there. That if you wanted to play the over 9.5, it's plus 100 on FanDuel, which I actually don't even hate. I feel like sometimes baseball is a cool sport to live bet because 1, 2, 3 inning does not necessarily mean that this pitcher is gonna stay there the whole time. Sometimes I do, but I do think it's a good time to live bet certain spots.
Yeah, I'm on Reds team total first five over 2.5 as well. Plus money. Like you said, they've been hitting left-handed pitching a lot better. I thought this was a pretty solid play, and I think that I'm gonna probably live bet if it gets to 1.5. So I'm gonna wait probably the show will probably be going on when they get to the third inning. So I'll let everyone who's watching know.
I have a little action on Gore over 6 Ks. I played it as part of like a sleeper deal. So 6 is a push, which is a little tough, but I think he's got some K stuff. He got one here in the first inning. I know he gets hit around a lot, but there's some nice easy strikeout targets here in this Reds lineup. So yeah, I have him as a little bit of a parlay piece. I wasn't confident in him enough to take the over 6.5 as a straight bet. So I'm fine with getting a push on the 6 as part of a parlay. But I just thought there was a little bit of value there. So I ended up just dabbling on his Ks a bit.
Anything else anyone has in these day games? Tigers, A's, that's a lot of fun. Cubs, Brewers, A's, Tigers, 1 o'clock Eastern. Yeah,
I just want to do a little side tidbit because yesterday Will mentioned that he hammered the under in the A's Tigers game. So I felt smart yesterday that I took the under 12.5 live when it was 3-0 in the first, and then I checked later on the night because I was like out. And I saw it was 12-0, just the A's, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I was like, "Are the A's putting up 12 runs on my live under right now?"
Good God, stop getting on the A's.
It happens.
We could talk about my sleeper play because I have Stroman inside my sleeper play.
Can I real quick though, because we were on the Reds real quick, Brad? Can I just ask, because they're at plus 185 for the division, and we didn't bring it up at all yesterday. And I feel like we've harped on the NL Central so much, we might as well talk about it right here because, once again, they were 40-1 about a month and a half ago. Plus 185, just ripping off wins. Do we still think that there's another team that can catch them in this division?
Oh, I mean, the Brewers are only 2 games out and they play each other like a million times. I mean, the Brewers could obviously catch them. I mean,
catch them is dramatic.
Is there a bet there? I mean, if I had to bet it, I'd probably take the plus 185. Am I dying to bet it plus 185? Probably not. Are you?
No, but the pitching I think is actually going to regress back to the mean and go up in terms of its production so far when guys start getting healthier. So there's something to look forward to with more.
When is Green getting healthy? I know Lodolo is still a ways away.
Yeah, I need to look it up again, but more referencing that Ashcraft is back and
And
DNF
pitched
trap.
well too.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
pitched okay last night. He wasn't
Yeah.
bad.
Exactly.
That's I mean, you still need a little more though. I mean, the Williamsons, I hope they win it. I don't know. I mean, it's a huge series with Milwaukee. They play Milwaukee going into the break starting tomorrow. Then they play them coming out of the break. Then they play against each other the end of July too. So a lot will be decided head to head. I don't know.
True.
I mean, does anybody want to bet them plus 185? Again, if I had to make a bet in that market, I probably would take that. I don't know though.
That's fair. Just want to do our weekly check-in there on the NL Central, but we can move on.
Yeah, so they're saying for a Green, they're not expecting a return before August. So he's going to be out at least another month.
That's tough.
Same with Woodruff, though, for the Birds.
Yeah, I feel like it's hard. Everything's so streaky in baseball, but the Reds are just absolutely killing it, especially on the road right now. I mean, 7 road series wins in a row is absolutely awesome. This team's a lot of fun to watch. I don't know if you guys saw the Ellie stuff yesterday with De La Cruz in his first at bat, where they made him pull like his little stopper where he kind of rests his pinky off. And he struck out, and then he came up and he hit that absolute nuke in the 5th inning, and then was pointing at the bat. Like, I loved shit like that. I was so hyped sitting here watching some afternoon baseball yesterday.
Yeah. We need that, dude. Did you see the dude? I didn't see who it was. I forget who it was, rather, but the dude that struck out and then drew a line where the ball was outside this K zone with his bat, and then got immediately ejected.
Oh yeah, dude. Umps have zero tolerance for that. But like, I get it, dude. It's like, dude, that was 3 feet outside of the zone, man.
Well, I will say I love Gene Segura. I miss him as a Philly, but man, he nailed that spot. If you watch that replay, his bat in the sand was a perfect. Like, he nailed the spot where that
dude knew where it was. Yeah.
In AAA, I think they have that you can challenge balls and strikes, and they might have an automated.
Yeah, it's sick.
They do. I've seen it, and
they tap the top of their helmet, and then it's quickly overturn it. We're probably headed towards that. I don't know how I feel about it. I guess look, some of these calls are so bad, and it is a hard job for the umps. These guys throw so hard with so much movement. It's easy on the TV when you have the box, but that was outside. Yeah. I think it's different when you're behind the catcher. Guys throwing 100 miles an hour. I don't know. You'll probably see it though. I mean, if you have the technology to get the call right, we're probably heading that direction.
I've also heard from like a bunch of minor or AAA pitchers and stuff like that are saying the zone's a lot tighter than a regular ump calling it. They said it's a very tight zone, and it sounds like they're kind of struggling with calibration too. They've been saying the zone's inconsistent, like it's not the same at every park. So it'll be interesting because they're going to keep working on the technology, because I kind of like that with the appeal, especially like I've seen some absolutely atrocious. Everybody has. I mean, as an ump, you see like almost 200, 300 pitches a game, like. It's tough. No doubt. I mean, you've seen, it's tough to have a consistent zone. I think it's tough for umpires, but I like the appeal, especially on important calls like that. Lord knows I could have used it the other day when, Kopech was pitching, and he was, he was struggling. He was getting hit around. He was giving up way too many walks. And in the 5th with 2 outs, he throws one that's like, way clearly in the zone, and it gets called a ball, and then he ends up walking somebody, giving up a hit, stranding a couple of guys on, and doesn't make it out of the 5th when that was his put away pitch. He should have been done there. So
so scoreless first in that one. We are middle of the first, Detroit and Oakland. I like the over. I haven't bet it yet. I probably will. Over 10 Mets, Diamondbacks, Carrasco going against Nelson. Both pitchers have awful numbers. That's a good park to hit. Those are 2 good lineups. That was a hell of a win for the Mets last night. Down 1-0, full count, 2 outs, nobody on. Alvarez hits a ball the other way, just a mile. Man, he's got some great power. He's had some big hits. So
when he connects,
Mets quietly sneaking
what
back.
Did I say yesterday? I said the Mets cannot be winning at the end of the game in order to win the game. They have to be coming from behind. They have to, otherwise they're going to blow it in late innings. And sure enough, like that's the way that they won their 5th in a row. So.
Yeah, and Roberts has been pretty good. It's just the other guys below him. When Diaz gets hurt, like Diaz would have been the closer, Robertson would have been the setup. So it's more like the chain of command, like the link to the bullpen. But the Mets, Let's see. 6 games under. They're right there. It's interesting. They play the Padres this weekend, where the Padres have won a few in a row. The winner, if somebody has a good series, the winner of that series can get back in the mix here. You keep waiting for one of these teams to make a run here.
Those are the
Padres.
it's interesting. Yeah, those two teams are like the same, right? Like,
Yes.
like
The
do
payroll
better. Look at who's
underachieved.
on your team. Look how much money you're spending. Do better. But if the bats in San Diego are going to be hot like that, I worry about Mets pitching against it. Honestly.
Yeah, you got Verlander going. I think you got Scherzer pitched Tuesday, so maybe he goes again on Sunday. But yeah. Anything else for today's games? So you had some angles here in terms of the pitchers, and it's a good thought, I think, where we're near the All-Star break. A lot of these guys, their last start. It's everyone's last start. So is it your theory that these guys get more rope? So play some of the overs out, some of the over strikeouts. Take us through your thought process.
Yeah, so I just remember from, the last couple of years, right before All-Star break, especially workhorse pitchers, they tend to get a lot longer of a leash. Like you were saying with the Mets, I'm also fading Carrasco a bit today. So I have a parlay with him and Lance Lynn each to get over 1.5 walks. I took it over on Sleeper. Lynn is over on walks at 17. He's over in 7 of his last 8. Toronto doesn't draw a ton of walks. They're pretty low on base on ball percentage, but Lynn is an absolute workhorse. He's 100+ pitches on a regular day. He's not going to the All-Star game. Our bullpen sucks. Everybody knows our bullpen sucks. If we're even remotely competitive in this game, I could see them giving Lance Lynn 120 pitches. So I'm looking at a lot of over outs props. Just because I think guys, especially if you're not going to the All-Star game, you're going to get a nice 10, 11, 12-day rest here. So I think if you got a guy and your pen's either gassed or they're struggling, you give your starter a really long leash here and just try and get into the 7th or 8th, especially if the game's close. And I think, most of the time starters want the ball. They want to stay out there and pitch. So you're not going to see a lot of guys, calling for a substitute. But yeah, I like over outs here. So I think Lynn goes deep. Carrasco, as we said, he's struggled. He's over in 9 of 11 starts this season, and Arizona does draw a ton of walks. So both of those props are pretty juiced on sports books. And I wasn't able to find Lynn's walks props on a sports book until 10, 20 minutes before the show. Just it's a later game tipping off, but yeah, that's why I ended up taking it on Sleeper. I think you get a nice little price there. It's almost plus 130-ish. So yeah, I like that combo. I think Lynn gets a lot of leash today because the Sox bullpen is just absolutely atrocious. I'd expect him to be throwing well upwards of 100, 110, 115 pitches.
Yeah, I like that.
Interesting. Yeah, my only concern is they take these guys out not because of the pitch count, but they don't want them facing the order the 3rd time, 4th time. They like the data suggests the more you see a guy, the better you hit him. But I do think it's a strong angle. So definitely something to keep an eye on tonight and pretty much all weekend, I would say. Would you say as the weekend goes on, that angle holds up, or do you look at it where it could go the other way, where it's all right, we have a whole week off to rest our bullpen. Let's push our bullpen a little more. What's your thoughts just the weekend in general?
I think it depends on the strength of your bullpen and how much you've been riding them. So yesterday's St. Louis Marlins game, I know both of those pitchers didn't go very deep. I saw, it's definitely starting to get a little later into the season. I've seen, I kind of try and keep track. There's been a couple of teams using 4, 5, 6 arms. The Cubs bullpen is still pretty smoked, and I've been taking their starter overs. I hit on Stroman yesterday. I hit on Hendricks the day before because the Cubs bullpen's been, 1, it's bad, and 2, it's torched. Even in that Hendricks start, Hendricks got them to the 7th inning, and then their bullpen kind of shit the bed, and they had to play to the 11th. They ended up getting the win, but extra inning games like that, using pen arms longer than you're expecting, so I think if your bullpen's gassed, you're going to continue to give your starters a bunch more play. I think if you have relievers and pen guys that are going to the All-Star game, you might be quicker to give your starter the hook and be yo, make sure you're sharp, make sure you're dialed in, maybe get those guys some reps. So I just kind of think it depends on the team situation, but good point. Yeah, I see if you have a good pitcher that is typically a workhorse and is going to get, 95 to 100 pitches no matter what, I think that you let him burn a little extra gas in the tank, especially if he's not going to the All-Star game.
Makes sense. Makes
I was
sense. Anybody
gonna-
else have any plays?
I was gonna say
Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, to build off what Oak's kind of saying there, is that was a play I had for the later slate. Is I'm trusting one of my favorite pitchers to bet on, Nathan Eovaldi, to go over 17.5 outs, and I paired it with Jordan Lyles not to get a win. I kind of talked about a little bit on the side about
Love it.
Trying to get these. Not, I hate the word saying juice reducer, but a lot of times in baseball it can be such a crazy sport. I mean, Ace scored 12 runs yesterday. Sometimes things just happen. So sometimes using these kind of two legs to kind of get to plus money, have a little less investment in certain props, especially for a guy like Jordan Lyles, is 1 for 11 on the year, and he's just been a trash can, getting hit around all the time. So he might not even go 5 some starts. He's just a guy that is pretty safe to put into as a leg of this. And for Eovaldi, I mean, he's going over 6 or more innings in 12 of his last 14 starts, and he's at the point where he's kind of cementing himself as that guy in Texas. He's a legit Cy Young candidate. And the Red Sox do take 4 pitches per at bat. They're near the top of the league in that. But the last 2 weeks against righties, they're only walking at a 5% rate. And for a guy that just throws strikes and is very efficient, I really do think I like him to go 6 innings. And this is plus 115 now at DraftKings. So I thought it was a good look.
Yeah, and I like what you're saying about Eovaldi. I mean, the thing with him too this year is like he's getting a lot of ground balls, which is great for him. He still gives up home runs, but he kind of he lessens it and he kind of neutralizes it a little bit with the ground ball rate that he gets, and keeps a lot of those balls from going out of the park as a result. But the main point with him, I think, is him going a bit longer, because even if he gives up a couple home runs to a guy like Justin Turner or whatever, just mashing for that team, like he's still going to stay in the game to that point. So I would agree with all that. And the only other thing I wanted to add to what you were saying there, Brian, is like I think what you're saying is super relevant and right on for pitchers. I just don't want people to think like that's the same concept for hitters, because the other thing with baseball in terms of getting odds on like a player to get a hit, for instance, 1 hit sounds like not a big deal, but like at minus 240 for a player to get 1 hit in a game, like how often does a guy go 0 for 4 or 0 for 3 with a walk or 2? Like just not worth it at that for hitting props. It's just a little bit less, right, with the averages and the way baseball works. And you want to make sure you're still getting juice even when you parlay like a guy to get a hit, base or 2 bases.
I think one of the most important things in this sport too is if you are betting hitter markets, you almost have to throw away the excuses to be like, oh, I can't believe this guy hitting baseball went 0 for 4. So you have to accept that's like a really
baseball.
It's really But just to kind of close off, to piggyback even more on Josh, it's also nice for a guy like Eovaldi where we talk about certain guys getting a leash or certain guys getting this. Nathan Eovaldi allows a solo home run in the top of the 5th. I'm not going to sweat like he's going to get pulled right away if he's having a solid inning. If it was somebody else that does not have like the leash, the trust of their manager, you start to sweat a little bit. But some of these guys like Eovaldi has been just so good that he gets that nod a lot of the times.
Yeah. By the way, Josh, for anyone that missed the show yesterday, Josh and I bet on the AL West. I took the Astros. Josh has the Rangers. Burroaks, who's going to win that bet?
Oh,
I picked up a game yesterday, by the way. Rangers lost, Astros won. I'm a game and a half
out. Is this
going
to be every show? Is Will
going
to remind us of the standings?
only if it's in my favor.
Only if the Astros won. Only if it's a game.
I feel like the Astros are going to kind of turn it around here coming down the stretch. Their pitching has started to pick up a little bit more. They're hitting, they're making contact better. They're not striking out nearly as much. They're getting some weapons back. But yeah, I mean, the Astros were super young. They had a lot of first-time pitchers that have kind of been working through some stuff, and it looks like they're kind of hitting their stride here a little bit more right before the All-Star game. But yeah, I mean, I like Texas. It's hard to bet against that offense.
You got to pick a side. No, this is the show where you waffle. You pick a side. You got to pick one. Who are you picking?
Yeah, I'll take Houston. I go with when it comes to baseball, I'm always gonna back the better pitching and the better bullpen, especially when it comes down the stretch, because offense is so streaky, and I just the home runs, the big hits, stuff like that. I tend to back teams that put more balls in play and play a little more small ball when it comes to playoff time, because right now I'm looking at Cincinnati with a man on third with 1 out, and
Rain delay.
Yeah.
Rain delay. Okay, I was gonna say you guys are on the first 5 over. Like, we should be screaming bunt here. Get this fucking run home. Bunt this down the first base side.
With De La Cruz too. Like,
I'm all.
Yeah, he's lightning fast. He stole second and then got over to third on a pop fly. So like, get his ass home. That's 90 feet. Put the ball in play.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm all for rain delays because I'm a big believer in baseball that rain delays they almost always, I think, help.
Oh, it's gonna it's torch Gore. Like, I would take his under Ks now if I could.
That's a good one. And Josh was on this a week or so ago. When there's rain in the forecast, you just parlay, and you could parlay the alternate for the pitchers under outs, under strikeouts, whatever. You get some fat payouts. And hey, they play an inning or two. They have an hour and a half rain delay. The pitchers are gone. You cash your bet. It's a really good angle. So it's something to keep an eye on with the.
Which is funny because rain wasn't even in the forecast. I think it's just so hot here that it's
like these scattered summer showers. It's just hot and humid as balls. I'm really not looking forward to going to the gym after this.
If you guys have roto grinders, they wrote this morning that there's a possible delay in the Cincinnati and Washington game.
Yeah, it's the heat because I have a tea time at 2:20 today, and I'm
Weatherman Brian didn't even see the rain in the forecast. He's over there playing meteorology.
Because he's gone playing golf. That's all you know.
I for sure thought you guys were taking some unders on this one. I was like reading roto grinders.
I didn't see the rain, and I didn't read roto grinders, which I read like pretty much every day, dude. They've got great stuff in there.
They're really good.
We should all be better about keeping an eye on it, and it'll be a team effort. If we see rain in the forecast, anything, we add it to the group chat and say, hey, there's rain in the forecast here. And even if it's a small bet, parlaying the unders for the strikeouts. And again, it's not a guarantee to get hit, but you can get some fat payouts, and it's at least worth monitoring.
So I'll say this.
Go ahead, Brian.
RotoWire is the one I use as well. Their report earlier said impact was doubtful, but it did say that there might be like a little showers. But here's my thing: if I'm not betting a prop, I don't care as much about the rain because this is going to be blow over in a few minutes. But if I had a pitcher prop over, that's one thing I really hone in on. But for an over in total, I don't really mind as much. But I don't think this will last long because I think here it's like 90 degrees and humid. I don't know why my friend decided today is the day we're going to go golfing, but
that's beautiful golf weather. What are you talking about?
Shut up, Brad.
It was 100 degrees this weekend.
Well, let's not try to predict the weather in like DC, southern Pennsylvania area or whatever. It's just going to be random and raining and whatever. But I do think if there's more rain or it comes to that, you want to fade the pitchers, which I tried to do with the first 5 overs. I think there's still the likelihood for overs once you start dipping into the bullpen, and now that's what you're dealing with, and you got a new pitcher every inning or whatever. Now I think you're talking about the ability to get a bit more runs and things to get kind of sloppy, like they did recently. So I think there was the Reds-Orioles game that we were talking about it, and then pitchers got taken out, take the unders.
It was like 60 runs,
and then it ended with like 15 runs. So
Speaking of golf, who the hell is Jonas Blixt, who is 9 under and leading first round? I saw he's like 300 to 1, 250 to 1 to be the first round leader. Who is this guy?
He was relevant like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it's funny, now you see why I hate first round leader. Like Jonas,
you should love it. You should have told me to bet this guy. You should have told me he was going to win. You're supposed to be a golf expert.
Anybody who bet on Jonas Blixt to go out there and shoot a 62 today, they can have my job.
Yeah, go to Vegas.
He's professional golfer. He's 39. His most recent win.
I think the fact that Brad knows who he is enough for us to give him kudos.
That is good point.
I didn't put a single dollar, official dollar. I put like a couple $5 bets just in case I got FOMO on some guys to win. And I was like, man, I'm not betting on Grayson Sig, Garrett Higo. I do have $5 on Shank because Shank's a good golfer and he's due for a win. But some of these guys, man, I wouldn't put $5 even if it was free play on them.
What's anybody worth jumping in on, Brad?
Anybody worth jumping in on?
Let me read the odds just so people have contact. Shank is the short shot 9 to 1. Cam Young 16 to 1. Man, this is a gross field here.
Really gross.
Cam Young is 16 to 1.
Yeah.
That is God. See, they're just
so bad.
Yeah, they're just getting free money off of people.
Yeah.
All right, keep going. Sorry.
Why he can't win? You're saying
he's playing so bad.
No, he can't putt. You can't. You got in a birdie fest. You got to be able to putt.
Yep. Seamus Power 18 to 1, Lashley 18 to 1, Denny McCarthy 18 to 1, Henley 22 to 1, Higo 22 to 1, Sig 25 to 1, Todd 25 to 1. Our boy Jonas Blixt is still 30 to 1 despite being 9 under with a 3-shot lead. Anything jump out to you? If you had $100 free bet, what would you put it on?
$100 free bet, I'd put it on Seamus Power.
Okay.
He's only 4 back of the leader, and he played okay, but he could have played better. And he's the kind of guy who can replicate 4 rounds of 66. I think if you get to 20 under, you'll probably be in contention to win on Sunday.
Yeah, I actually want to bring that up because the guy that I've shared in our group chat too, that just has these random obscure PFL bets or like random bets all together. He told me this morning, or actually like a few hours ago, to take Eric Cole at 30-1, and then to take 3-ball for 1. I don't even know Eric Cole.
Yeah,
I took
Brad mentioned Cole yesterday.
Yeah,
okay.
Brian was not listening to the show.
Jeez.
No, I was, but I'm just saying that. I got it sent today was what he sent me to.
I don't think he's teed off yet. He tees off at 2:00. That's why I didn't mention him. I was just talking about people who are already playing.
I just want to put that in there because I know we mentioned it yesterday, and I was just saying the guy that I just blindly follow also put it in. So I was like, if I keep hearing this Eric Cole name, I might as well have something on it.
He's bound to win, but I'm gonna be really ticked off if he wins this week, and I just have $25 on him. In comparison to when I had like $100 on him at 100 to 150 to 1, and he couldn't make a putt to finish Honda. So he'll be really upset.
Those leave a mark, man. Those leave a mark.
Yeah, and his price just keeps getting shorter every week.
Before we go, is Grant Williams, does that move the needle at all for you? And anything you guys care at all? Dame is apparently his agent's telling these other teams, hey, unless you're the Heat, don't even bother trading for me, which is kind of a dick move. Anything on either one?
If you have a book that will give you odds for Dame, like he's ending up in, there's no other scenario other than him in Miami. It's now all about the third team.
Ooh, are we betting again? What odds are you going to give me?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely.
You'll give me 10-1.
What's your bet?
Somewhere other than Miami, I'll take the field 10-1.
10-1.
No, you're saying there's no chance he's ending up anywhere else. So I'm
but like I can't give you 31 teams.
But you said no chance, so there is a chance. You're saying.
Okay. So the most almost.
What's a fair number
for you to take?
Circa might have that. Circa just released a shit ton of NFL exacta futures and stuff like that. Circa's pretty good about offering
fair prices,
field bets and stuff like that.
I don't think they can do player movement in Vegas.
Not that you can bet them anywhere other than Vegas, but
you can't do player movement in Vegas.
No,
at Vegas books specifically.
No, nope. But what would you say is a fair number though?
Let me look at a few things. I'm off the top of my head. Like I would give you 2-1, but I might not even feel comfortable with that.
Oh, all right. Oh, wow. Things have changed.
Well, it's a bet that we're making, and you get 31 teams. I'm just saying, if you don't have to bet. If there was a offer that's not the field, it's like Miami minus 240, Portland even money.
Yeah.
Like I would still hit Miami in that scenario.
He went from 0 chance to 33%.
I know he did. Brad noticed. Brad's paying
Yeah.
attention. Brian Brian has no idea we're doing a show.
All right, fine.
That's why we bet the numbers that we see. Like I was betting the numbers a whole different game. Well,
I will say, Josh, I do kind of agree. Like Miami, even though we've said forever this isn't they don't have a great bid, but I was listening to Zach Lowe's podcast. And he's like, you know what? They don't have a great bid, but what's the bid that's beating that? Like I kind of agree with that. I just think here's the other aspect that's competing with it. People just in general don't like being told what to do. So if you're like, hey, trade me to Miami, like you're going to get your back and be like, fuck you. I'm not trading. I'm not just going to do what you tell me.
No, but we've seen this before in the NBA. Yeah. The Stars win every time. They're undefeated.
Well, the whole thing with the agent calling teams saying don't trade for him. That feels like that's got to be illegal, right? Like
there should be collusion, but the agents are not beholden to that. Like even if the agent talks to a team and they're not supposed to, the team gets punished. The agent doesn't.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is part of the power that the player holds. I just want to use Brian's bookies.com newsletter that he gets, but they do have a website and they are saying what their implied odds would be. And so to be very clear about when I say how confident I sounded in Dame going to Miami, that's on the idea that, for instance, plus 350 odds for him to go to Miami with an implied probability of 22%. Like, I'm taking that because I think that the player's going to win out in this scenario. I think the use cases here tell us that, like, when it gets to this point in the negotiation of the team and the player and the trade, especially one who has so much cachet in that city with that organization, they get what they want in that scenario. And so if he's not going to go anywhere else, he's going to go there. He wants to trade it out. Plus 350 is what I'm talking about of like, hell yeah, give me Miami.
There's
for that.
no way
Not
that's.
like,
I'll just say there's
yeah.
no way that's a real line. There's no way.
No, it's not. It's just what
Yeah.
mybookie.com is saying that they're, you know, all the information that we're using to talk about this in
Right.
general is what they're amalgamating into one percentage that they give you out.
Amalgamating. All right.
Wow,
Boom.
dude, you know what? That's a big word. You can make fun of me all you want for not knowing there's a show, but even if I pay attention, how am I supposed to comprehend words like that? Are you kidding me? I was gonna
Compilation.
I was gonna piggyback too off that because it's one of those things where it's when we talk about all the time. I don't want to be the dead like horse, but Damian Lillard's gone from like this like, oh, he's so loyal to now he just seems like a diva.
Seems
And
like
just,
wow.
his perception has changed so
I
much.
agree.
Like, a few
By the
weeks.
way,
Correct.
he was been loyal. Okay, he didn't play for free all those years, right? They play. He
Yeah,
just had a $200 million
Yo, but
extension.
let's go
It's not like
right
he's
back.
doing
Like,
charity work.
how much money is he making the city of Portland by being there? Like, who's going to
I have
those
no
games
idea.
when he's not there? I
I
mean,
don't know.
I would imagine that
Jamie
like
Grant
going to
will
the
go,
Moda Center.
and he'll bring in tickets.
But the idea
Yeah.
that he's done this like great deed, it's not like he's taking hometown discounts. It's not like he signed a $60 million, like he's getting $60 million per year in some of these. It's not like I just think he's getting a little too much credit for the loyalty thing. And then when you have the quotes, like the thing about quotes, they don't go away; they're there forever. So when he says, "Hey, I don't run from the grind. I'm never going to play for a super team," like you do look bad now. Hey, oh by the way, I'm going to go to a super team and I'm going to run for
He's
the
gonna
grind.
look
Like,
so
not
bad in that
necessarily.
Sun uniform. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, but you win a championship and everybody.
I agree, and I have no problem him wanting out. It's time for him to move on. It's just it's tough when you contrast it and you try to. Here's what he did. He takes credit for being like, "Hey, I'm going to be the guy that sticks around," and then be like, "Oh, by the way, I'm not going to stick around." That's tough for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that when he said he was going to stick around, they probably should have put some better pieces around him and made it competitive. And like, you know, I don't know. Again, it's always fun to talk about that sort of stuff, but at the end of the day, as soon as the season starts, everybody's gonna forget what happens in the off season. Like, I remember when there was rumors that LeBron was going to join the Bulls, and Chicago couldn't stop talking about how LeBron, oh, he might come to the Bulls, he might come to the Bulls. I'm like, there's no way he's coming to the Bulls. Why the hell would LeBron come here?
Yeah, no. This situation though, where when Dame's on another team next year, it will be brought up a lot. He'll play Portland. We'll see, whatever.
It will be until he drops 70 points, and then that's all anybody can talk about for the rest of the season.
Yeah. No one's gonna shit talk him at that point for sure.
That Portland team with Jamie Grant and Sheen at starting point guard is gonna be crazy though. Duncan Robinson leading the charge.
Portland's dumb. Why did you just give Jeremy Grant $160 million if Dame's going to be leaving? What's happening? Are you rebuilding or not? It's the poor work.
Traded him a couple of years ago too. Beal and Lillard, they both held on to him for a couple of years too long.
Yeah.
Real quick, I do want to just talk summer league for 1 sec because there's continues to be angles that I think you can definitely exploit here. So yesterday was a day of overs. That's because day one and right now, by the way, no Vegas action starts until tomorrow. All these tournaments that are being played are in other places, like Sacramento and Utah are where everything's happening. And then tonight, the only games are in, I believe, Utah, right? Everything just froze on me, but either way, it's the Grizzlies, Thunder, and then the Jazz. I'm sorry, the Thunder and Sixers, Jazz and Grizzlies. What happened on day one is all these totals were 167.5, and so that was just dumb. You hit the overs, and the reason here isn't just like, oh, there's NBA players. Of course, they're going to get 168 points in 10-minute quarters. By the way, 10-minute quarters.
Are they all 10-minute quarters?
But
is any of them 12-minute quarters?
No 12-minuters.
Okay.
But the point is like when you have Keegan Murray dropped 41 points last night for the Kings, right? That type of player is when you find that type of player on a team that can actually score at an NBA level, then you have to take an over. Because like once you're at the level of even Keegan Murray, who's like, I don't know, the 80th best player in the NBA, you're not missing. The 80th best player in the NBA is exponentially better than the dude who's never stepped foot on an NBA court.
What are the bets for today? What bets do you like for today?
I'm going now, but now it's back to the under because they've overvalued it.
Okay.
And there's a couple of reasons, which is yesterday, all these second-year players, Agbaji on the Jazz, Springer on the Sixers, David Roddy for the Grizz, and on and on and on. All those dudes played 30-plus minutes in yesterday's games. So those dudes aren't getting 30 minutes. And even if they are, like there is some level of fatigue that sets in right as your first back and it's like your third NBA game in the last like 3 months or whatever. So they're up to 187. Yesterday, they were still at like 174, 176.
How did the overs do yesterday?
every game except for depending on where you got the Heat and Kings. That one ended at 178. And it was as low as 176.5 at times. It got up to 180.5. So depending on where you got it, I hit it as in a parlay.
What were the record for the overs though?
Every game has gone over except for that game now in
Wow.
like 8 or 9 games.
So overs are 8-1, 9-1, something like that, 7-1.
Yeah, and
Wow.
once again, it is going to depend on where you got it from yesterday's games as well, because there was some people who got the Grizzlies Thunder at 180.5 and it ended at 180. So if you just have to be a little bit early to these things, but like they're up to, I got on Bovada 187 for that Thunder and Philly game. Like one of the two Jalen Williams isn't going to play. Kenrich Williams isn't playing. I don't know why Trey Mann. Terrence Mann. Trey Mann. I don't know why Trey Mann would play on the Thunder, who, by the way, is nasty, and he might be something for them this year. Yeah, he might be something for them this year for real. But and then for the Grizzlies and Jazz, like you can't play Jlboogy 30 minutes. He's actually going to be a player in your rotation this year. So there's just not enough NBA scores. That's why you get back down to, around 180 is where I think a lot of these games will end.
So you're on unders, all the unders, or both unders for tonight?
There's 2 games. I hit the under for the Thunder and Sixers because it was a nice disparity between Bovada and a couple other places by like 2 points. So I hit the under 187, even though most places you're going to find 185 or 184.5 right now for that. And then
where is it 187?
It was on Bovada only.
Okay.
Caesars actually might have 186 if you want to find it there. Yep. And then Grizzlies and Jazz. I do want to see the lineup. The Grizzlies have, like I said before, 4 dudes with playoff experience that are playing summer league for some reason. So if 2 of those dudes play, I'm not quite as comfortable with, under 184 where that game is at. But it's probably around there. I think they're more accurately pricing it now, but I think they're not valuing the fact that a lot of these good second year players are not going to continue playing in these games.
So at DraftKings,
real quick, do you guys, let's jump over and talk about this Cubs Milwaukee game. I know Brad's got a sleeper play, and I'm piggybacking off of his sleeper play if you want.
Let's end with that. Go ahead, take it away.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have another play too that I want to give up, but I'll be quick on my sleeper play. So it's a 3-team parlay. It's Stroman over 4.5 strikeouts. Ever since Stroman came back from that injury when he got pulled early, he's been dealing. I believe the Brewers are like bottom, like they're like 3rd worst in strikeouts per game. Good spot for him. I think we're still going to keep getting these buy low spots. He was over 3.5 last game, over 4.5 this game. He's averaging 5.3 Ks per inning, 6 innings pitched. And if you're a person who thinks he's going to go to the 6th or 7th inning, which I do, I think it's a good spot there. The next one is Lewis Robert Jr. to get at least 1 hit. He's balling out. I am a little afraid of Burroaks, but the way Lewis Roberts hitting balls is just absolutely balling. He's top of the league for expected total bases too. If you guys use DGen Eli's data tools, it's pretty good, pretty easy to see who the ballers are on each team. And then the last part of that is Mookie Betts. And I'll just tie this right into my play. Mookie Betts to get at least 1 hit. I'm taking Johan Oviedo under 16.5 pitching outs. Hold on, let me pull up my write-up. My bad. I have no idea where it is, so I'll go off the top of my head. So the Dodgers right now are just like basically mashing everyone. 8 of the last 9 pitchers they've faced haven't made it past the 5th inning. Then it helps that we have a little 8-mile-per-hour wind blowing out. So they're just basically I'm fading any pitcher that's going against the Dodgers right now until they kind of cool off. But their bats have woken up. So reason why I like Mookie Betts and reason why I like Johan's under pitching outs.
So, yeah, I want to jump in there. I actually really like Stroman over 4.5 Ks. I was looking at it kind of all day towards the end of last slate. It opened up at like minus 160 on FanDuel. And then it kind of opened at some other spots. I was waiting to see what the market did. I jumped on. I got minus 146. I've seen it kind of bounce around. I've seen some buyback. I really thought this was going to switch to over 5.5. Stroman's over in 13 of 18 starts on the over 4.5. He does struggle on the road a bit. He's only over in 5 out of 9 on the road. But I really like him to ball out here in his last game before the All-Star game. He's also a first-time All-Star since 2019 when he was with Toronto. He's been crushing all season, his over 17.5 outs line. This guy typically gets 6 full innings. Milwaukee's also just not very good. I know some people got burned a little bit on Steele yesterday with his Ks, but Stroman's got a little bit better K stuff, and I think is overall a better pitcher. So yeah, I was perfect. I was fine laying the juice. I know -140, -145, -150. That's some heavy paper to lay. I could see people maybe wanting to parlay that with something, but I'm a big one bet, one outcome kind of guy. I think Stroman gets the job done here. He's had exactly 6 games where he ends on 5 Ks. So that's why I was a little hesitant to I wanted to get in on the action early and take him over 4.5. I thought the market would have moved. It hasn't. It's kind of sat right there at the minus like 140 for best price. So
where is that?
I
I'm
really
seeing
like
DraftKings
Stroman here
has.
today. I even think he could get up to like 6. He'd had 8 against Milwaukee in April. Now I know that was back in April, and that was a home start for the Cubs. But I think he can deal against this Milwaukee team. He might be able to get up to 8 again here today.
I'm seeing 155 at Bet Rivers, -170.
145 at BetMGM.
BetMGM, okay, which not available to
Yeah,
everybody.
and not that they take anyone's money or like a big bet, but I've seen Win bounce up to -130. But anybody that bets seriously or you like you can't get more. I can't get more than like $25 down there.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll wrap it up. Good luck on all your plays, Burroaks, Brad, Brian. We will be back. I don't know. I don't think we have a show tomorrow, so enjoy the weekend. We'll be back Monday, All-Star break. We'll have plenty to talk about. So thank you to Sleeper. Thank you to Pickett. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you guys Monday.
Peace.